All right, some post-Canadian election thoughts. So first of all, congrats to everybody who was hoping for a Liberal win. I know there was a lot of people that were really concerned about the future of the country, so I hope that you're all feeling much better now that Mr. Carney is the Prime Minister of Canada. Won't pretend not to be disappointed, but hey, that's life. So I guess here's some thoughts I have. First, I hope I was wrong. I hope I am wrong. I hope he turns out to be a great prime minister and the country thrives. I really do. I don't want to be, oh, I told you so, and have the country collapse. I would rather be, hey, I was wrong, and have the country thrive. So what went wrong? Well, I think quite simply two things. The Trump factor. I think Donald Trump interfering in our country politics really scared the older generation significantly. And I also think that the lack of a viable third party, i.e., the NDP, um, kind of ruined any chance for the Conservatives. It's unfortunate that I always believe there was space for the NDP. I think, despite everybody praising them, I think Jagmeet Singh did a really bad thing for the NDP. I think he drove them into oblivion, at least for the next few years, by saddling up to or not to the Conservatives, for the Liberals for the last so many years, keeping them in power. I think he lost his party's identity. And I think that's unfortunate because I think a three-party system was an advantage we always had over the States. But now we are at a two-party system, and we're very similar to the States where we're divided almost 50-50. And I think that's a very sad place to be. I too am concerned about the Trump factor, but for a different reason. I think, despite what people say about the man, I think he is, as the old saying goes, dumb like a fox. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. I think he knew that by politicizing the 51st state, he got people to rally behind Mark Carney. I think that was intentional. I just think, unfortunately, and maybe I'm being very cynical, I just think he sees an easier path to the destruction of Canada with a Liberal government than he did with a Conservative government. And unfortunately, with the recent um, happenings in Alberta right now, that's a crisis. I don't think the Trump tariffs are a crisis. I think the Alberta potential referendum is a crisis. And so Mr. Carney, with all his knowledge of managing countries through crisis and negotiating skills, or self-proclaimed negotiating skills, unfortunately has a very good opportunity to put that to work right off the bat here. So he better get going on that first and foremost, in my opinion. Okay, so enough whining. I mean, you know what? I could actually get behind this guy, believe it or not, despite all my reservations. I hope he proves me wrong. And I don't think what he needs to do to have me and a lot of people like me rally behind him is all that hard. And I think to unify the country, he really just needs to look at what was our issues, what was the conservative issues that we had with the country, or the problems that we had with the Liberal government in the last 10 years, and then fix that. And I don't think that is that difficult to do. He's talking about economic prosperity and growing the economy, so do it. Keep our programs, look after our sick, look after our vulnerable, look after our elderly. Don't lose the important programs to us, but do so wisely and prudently. Spend our money well, reduce our overall tax burden. Don't increase our deficits. Don't increase our debt. Start getting that paid down. Put us in a position of economic strength. Maintain our programs, but do it prudently. That's all we're asking from an economic standpoint. Absolutely spend on social programs, but spend wisely. Don't overspend. Don't put us down a path of bankruptcy where nobody will have any programs. Nobody will be supported if we can't survive as a country. With immigration, we want immigration, but make it targeted, make it sustainable, make sure we have appropriate housing and healthcare, make sure our folks are taken care of first. And that's not a racist comment. That's not a white thing. That's a Canadian thing. Make sure our Canadians of every race, creed, and color are looked after properly before we open up the floodgates to the rest of the world. You know, it's very sad that we have First Nations people in this country that don't have safe supply of drinking water, and yet immigration is just a free open door. I think that's wrong. You know, a lot of the other concerns I had about Mr. Carney was his lack of transparency and honesty and openness. And you know what? I think there's a really simple fix, and I know the states are looking at this right now, and I think we should too. Introduce a bill that restricts any sitting MP from owning individual stocks. So they can own mutual funds, index funds, ETFs, even better if they own Canadian ETFs, so that their performance directly influences the country's performance, which directly increases their mutual funds and their index funds and ETFs. So their wealth is dependent on their job. None of this individual stock stuff where people could potentially benefit from insider knowledge. And hey, I'm not saying there is any election steal or anything like that. But if you're open minded, you have to recognize there's some issues with the way our system runs. If you look at the, um, you know, unproportional representation of the Atlantic provinces versus the Western provinces on a population basis, if you look at Pierre Poilievre's riding having 91 candidates, like 91, like, okay, it's a political game and they can do it to any party and maybe they'll be doing it to the Liberals next. Who knows? But it's just not right. And while I'm venting, having the Bloc Quebecois leader on a national leadership debate when he is the first one to admit he does not want to be prime minister, he will never be prime minister, having him at a national level debate is, in my opinion, wrong. With crime, be reasonable about it. Like, we're not expecting to lock up people for minor violations. But come on, if somebody is out a violent offender and they're out on parole multiple times and keep repeating, they're not being rehabilitated. So lock them up. Like, strengthen up our country as far as security and crime, car thefts, and everything that's going on. And even if the statistics aren't saying we're at some dystopian universe, you know what? It should be easy to fix this stuff. Somebody shooting off fireworks and waving flags everywhere because of this liberal win? No, not at all. But you know what? There is a chance that I could be wrong, and he could be the best thing for the country. And you know what? I'm going to give him that opportunity. I think what he needs to do to bring conservative-minded people onto his side is not very hard to do if he wants to do it. Um, let's see what he does, though.